Hello and welcome to Threefold Herbal Healing. I'm clinical herbalist Leo Sade. I help people who struggle with chronic conditions grow their health from the roots up. Spring is springing outside out of my window, and with it, all the weeds, the spring herbal tonics come to life. They are all emerging and they are all there for us, free. We don't have to pay for them, and they are highly nourishing. I wanted to talk about one of them today, chickweed. It's one of the first spring weeds that emerge when the snow melts. It grows in like lush, bright green, dense mats, so it's very low and it covers the soil and is very beloved by chickens and birds who really appreciate the nutrient dense weed as food, especially the seeds, but also the leaves and flowers. And traditionally, humans too really appreciate it after the long winter when they didn't have any access to fresh food, fresh greens, and they didn't have supermarket. They didn't have home delivery. Um, so having fresh greens again was appreciated. And chickweed was one of the first that came up after the snow melted, like I said. The name is chickweed, and the botanical name is Stellaria media. So, what's in the name? Stellaria means little star in the midst of and refers to the tiny white star-shaped flowers that are white. They close in the evening and on cloudy days, but they open every day at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and they really like full sun or partly sun, but it's really they open to the sun in the spring. The name chickweed refers to the fact that birds and chickens really love to munch on chickweed. Um, yeah. The botanical family is the crown family, and we use all the aerial parts. So the stem with the leaf and the flower, and the degree is third degree. So this is a safe herb to add to your juicer, to salads, to juicy smoothies, and to make tea of. It's highly nutrient. And you don't really need to grow it. It loves fertile, nitrogen-rich, damp soil. So when I had nitrogen in my garden, it was on the compost pile. It just showed up one season on the compost pile, and it's a self-seeding annual. So once it shows up once, there is a good chance that it will um, show up, reseed itself year after year after year. Um, so yeah, chickweed. Clopper, the famous herbalist from the 7th century, wrote about chickweed. It is a fine, soft, pleasing herb under the dominion of the moon, which kind of sums a lot of chickweed um, property. It is softening, it has an affinity to water, and it has an affinity to the moon. Um, the white flower, of course, the cooling, the moistening properties all point toward the moon. The ruling element is not surprising, is the water element. Chickweed contain a lot of fluids in it. So when you eat chickweed, you will feel like immediately that your mouth is also filled with saliva. So it encourages saliva in the mouth, but it also releases all its juices in the mouth, and it's very moistening. So for people with dry constitution, um, chickweed is awesome. And for people with lymphatic system issue, blood issue, and urinary tract issue, everywhere in the body where you have the water element and you have A type of dryness, stagnation, chickweed would be indicated. The taste is grassy, somewhat salty because there is minerals in it, but I wouldn't say it's salty. It's just grassy, um, slightly salty. The energetic, so like I said, temperature it is cooling, fluids it's moistening, and the tone is more or less natural. So there is no it's not relaxing and it's not toning. It's somewhere in between. It's a balancing herb. So what tissue hair state will benefit from working with chickweed? First, the dry atrophy, like I said, because it's a moistening herb. It's a juicy plant used for stagnant, dry, thick fluid when nutrient can reach the cells because the fluids are so slow. Nutrients are not carried efficiently into the cells. And on the other hand, waste products are accumulating in the extracellular spaces and are not moving out of the cells and eliminated. So dry atrophy, because in those conditions, when cells don't get nutrient, they are atrophying. They just can't produce the energy they need and they then can't function effectively. Another tissue state that can benefit from chickweed is the heat excitation. Heat excitation basically point into inflammation. It's when the tissue is hot and dried and irritated, which basically are all qualities that point toward inflammation. So it is an anti-inflammatory herb. So some of the action. The fundamental action, which is the action that you can feel viscerally throughout the body when you just chew even on chickweed, is it being the emulsant. It's the juiciness that reduces friction on inflamed mucous membrane all over the body. So you first feel it in your mouth, but it has this protective mechanism on all the body barriers. So topically on the skin, if you chew on chickweed and put it on the skin, or you slide it really small and do a compress, it has the same demulcent, moistening, preventing friction, and healing. It's also increase wound healing. It soothes, it prevents the irritation. That's the foundational action. Primary action relate to specific organ system and tissue. So it is an alternative that promotes healthy metabolism and waste elimination, enhancing detox pathways in the liver, in the kidneys, in the lung, in the large intestines, and in the lymphatic system. It's also a nutritive tonic. There is a lot of protein, minerals, vitamin that provide deep nourishment and support the body's basic building and maintenance processes. So chickweed, a lot of minerals, protein, vitamin B, vitamin A and C, very important after a long winter when people used to eat mainly meat and root vegetables. They didn't have access to anything fresh. It is a mild diuretic, so very gentle, that stimulate the kidneys to increase urine flow and facilitate the excretion of metabolic waste through the urine. So there is an element of detox, and we know that spring call upon us to detox after a long winter where we ate heavy meals and didn't move much. It's also a vulnerary, which means that it helps with wound healing and tissue repair and reduce inflammation, also prevent infection both internally and topically. It is emollient, which means wound healing on the skin, having this mucus protection over irritated skin. We are talking eczema and acne, and we will talk about it in a moment. The secondary action are actions that basically they don't tell us how they do what they do. There is no organ affinity. There is no how we do what we do. We just know it's happened. And for chickweed, it's anti-inflammatory. When it's used internally, it reduces inflammation. Chickweed reduces inflammation and sedate excess heat. So, organ of affinity. In the urinary system, it works as a demulcent, cooling diuretic. So that's point to where UTIs mostly. In the lymphatic system, it works toward decongestant and alterative. So it helps move lymphatic fluids and break down congestion and kind of clear waste product. In the skin is cooling, soothing, so reducing skin inflammation, and vulnerary, which means it helps wound healing. In the GI tract, it works as a demulcent, so it's soothe, cool, and coat irritated GI tract tissue. And it's also anti-inflammatory, so it's reduced the heat there. And in a connective tissue in the joint, it works as an alternative, reducing waste product in rheumatic conditions. Okay, so we are going to touch on the clinical patterns, but before we do that, I just want to remind us that this video is not meant to diagnose or treat any condition. It is mostly as education for you to learn how to use a herb that you might see in your garden and ask yourself, is that a weed? Is that a herb? What can be done with it? I'm not recommending anything. I'm just teaching you what chickweed can do for you or for anybody else. If you feel like you struggle with any of the conditions that we are talking about, you can reach out to me and I will be happy to have a conversation with you about it. You can find my 15 minutes free herbal consultation on www.threefoldherbalhealing.com. Again, to book 15 minutes free herbal consultation with me, go to www.threefoldherbalhealing.com. Let's go on. So first thing to know about chickweed is that it's nutritive. So if you feel depleted or after the winter, if you feel like you are not eating enough fresh food in the winter, or you feel like you want to increase your nutritional status, chickweed is for you. It's very nutrient dense, rich with protein, fat, fiber, carbohydrate, and various minerals. It's a good source of vitamin C, which is very important after the winter. Vitamin A, important for immune system. And B vitamins, thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin. So B1, B2, B3. It also contains 16 essential amino acids. And minerals found in chickweed are magnesium, iron, calcium, and zinc. Again, a wide variety of nutrients. So traditionally, like I said, people didn't have access to fresh food during the cold months of winter. Chickweed, being that hardy to cold, was one of the first greens to emerge after the melting of the snow and the ground and provided all those nutrients absent from winter diet. And also for us, just that we consider that there is a difference between something that grew up in a greenhouse far away or anything that travel, the nutritional value is not the same as something that you harvest and eat right away. It is also antioxidant. So antioxidant foods and herbs reduce oxidative stress that is associated with metabolism. I always say that the oxidative stress is like the ashes that is left in your wood stove after you start a fire and create this energy to warm your house. They are especially important for organs that require a lot of energy to function, like the heart, the brain, and the liver, because greater energy production increases oxidative stress. Makes sense. Also, in inflammatory condition, you will see an increase in metabolic rate because inflammation require a lot of energy from the body, and that increase oxidative stress. But oxidative stress is also inflammatory. Therefore, oxidative stress and inflammation can start to create this vicious cycle. And chickweed can help break the cycle by reducing the oxidative stress, by scavenging the ROS or reactive oxidative. An animal study found that chickweed provided significant neuroprotection against oxidative stress in the brain following an injury. So I saw researchers that point to chickweed as something that might help with Alzheimer prevention because it protects the neurons in the brain. It also has this profound effect on epithelial cells. So epithelial cells are cells that are cover us, all the skin cells, but they are also cover us from the inside in all the places where the body come in direct contact with the outside world. So our digestive system, from the mouth through the throat to the stomach and all the GI basically is exposed to the outside world. The lungs, the urinary tract, the uterine, all exposed to the outside world. And being a demulcent, being an antioxidant, and being vulnerary means that chickweed can support all those epithelials throughout the body. So let's take some examples. It was found to protect gastrointestines, especially in the colon, from ulcers because of frequent use of NSAIDs. So that was research that I read that I found very interesting because people that use NSAID regularly tend to have ulcers in their GI tract, and chickweed extract was found to protect the gut from that damage. In the urinary tract, you combine the diuretic effect of chickweed with the antioxidant effect that reduces inflammation, and you get up with a remedy that can benefit people with UTI conditions. The demulcent properties can soothe the irritation in the tissue, both in UTI and in interstitial cysts, and help cool the heat of inflammation. In the skin, it was traditionally used for skin ailment. It was used for eczema, acne, as kind of cool and soothe irritated skin and accelerate wound healing. Skin conditions also are common when elimination pathways are stagnant, leading to accumulation of toxins in the lymphs in the liver. Internally, chickweed support toxin elimination through gently promoting lymphatic flow and through its mild diuretic effect on the urinary tract. So what we are saying really is that chickweed for the skin help both topically. When you apply topically, it's kind of cool and soothe and reduce irritation, but also when you take it internally, it can help prevent acne and eczema. Metabolic health. That was a surprise for me. But amylase and lipase are pancreatic enzymes that break down carbohydrate and fat, respectively, in the small intestines. When carbohydrate and fats can't be fully broken down, if you don't have enough amylase and lipase, they can't be absorbed. And when they can't be absorbed, they are eliminated by the colon in your stool. What happens is it looks like less caloric intake. Less glucose, less fat are absorbed in the body, which means less caloric intakes and reduce in blood glucose level. So a juice made from chickweed juice that was then dried and powder was given to animals. And what they found out that the animals reduced weight, reduced liver weight, and their cholesterol and triglycerides improved. So we are talking about improve in all markers of metabolic health. I think because chickweed is rich with all those juices, and because it works on the kidneys and lymphatic system mostly, the best way to use it is by water extract, which means mostly tea, or you can add a bunch of chickweed to a smoothie or juices. That's the best way to use it. I wouldn't bother with tincturing or using capsules or powders. For everyday use, the best way to use is water extract. It's mostly a very safe herb, but excessive consumption can lead to high saponin content that may cause diarrhea or vomiting. So, you know, a herb that is mostly safe, but it doesn't mean that you want to eat huge amount, pounds of chickweed every day. You want to be mindful that it contains saponin that it's like a soapy compound that can irritate and cause diarrhea, kind of create cramps in the stomach. That is chickweed that I have to say is fascinating as a herb that is a weed, and you can find it free everywhere, have a long tradition of use all around the world. Yeah, I would suggest you go out, look for it, take a picture, be sure that you identify the right herb, and let me know what you think. See you next week.